As you can see, there is a lot that goes into making a centrifugal chiller, how they work, and keeping them functioning efficiently, effectively, and smoothly. They're not an entry-level concept. Uh, and while there are plenty of people who make it through their career and they never truly get an in-depth understanding of how this equipment works, why it works, or anything of that nature, and they do perfectly fine. If you really want to be the best and you want to excel, you need to have a really strong foundation of these fundamentals, because it'll help you stop chasing the wrong thing, because you have this concept in your mind that is not accurate. And because this is your working principle and concept of what's happening, that is going to tell you to try to check and do and check things and do things and make adjustments that is not truly helpful to that chiller. And then you're just going to spin your wheels, you're going to get frustrated, and you're just going to have, it's just going to be a struggle because you're not focused on the right thing. So part of my hope and my goal is that by having a deeper understanding of the principles and the fundamentals here, and what makes the centrifugal work, what makes the impellers do what they do, our diffusion, VGD, IGVs, how we control staging and the various combinations of staging control that we have. By having an understanding of this equipment, it will help you make better decisions. Because if it's less time that you have to sit there and ponder on, okay, so this makes that, makes this do that. No, this is what it does. And because it does this and these are my symptoms, it has nothing to do with this. So I'm going to move on to things that does have something to do with. A lot of that will come with just time and experience. But I really want you to be able to do that quickly and to do it confidently, and to be able to explain these things to customers. Does a customer need to understand radial tangential? It's a bit of a tongue twister for me. Or just our vector and how we're diffusing down and stuff like that. Some customers may find it interesting, but do they really need to know that? No. And isn't going to impact their overall decision? No. But can you make a faster, more accurate decision and then be able to back it up with proper talk and terminology so that they have full confidence in exactly what you're saying? Absolutely. Because a lot of this really is. It comes down to the customer's confidence in what you have to say. Because there's a lot of people who don't know what they're doing, and it creates an environment where the customer is just naturally skeptical because they're used to seeing people who don't know what they're doing, and these people are making recommendations that are unfounded, and they can't really properly explain it. And so what the customer may really be hunting for is their BS meter. Do they feel that there's a level of BS in what you're saying, because based on how well you can explain it? They may have no idea what you're saying, and they really may not care. They want to hear your understanding and your conviction of what you're saying, to understand how much you really truly believe in your diagnosis, versus you really don't know and you're just throwing something against the wall and hoping it works. Just something to think about. This is a very important module. This module and screw chillers, if you want to excel and become very dominant as a chiller technician, this module and the screw module, and probably the controls module coming up, these are the ones that you should really take time to focus on. Don't overlook this stuff. And it's okay if you don't understand it. Again, these are not easy concepts. Please Go to the community, ask questions, get feedback. Let's have some deeper discussions around it, and just take the time to get you through it. I want you to understand this. Okay? Anyway, if there's any major takeaways, it's keeping up with your oil system. The oil system for centrifugals, aside from surging and say flow, and like a lot of that goes back to tuning the overall parameters, but the oil system, that is probably the biggest Achilles heel. And even trying to make the argument that the mag bearing fixes the oil side, well, it's still an Achilles heel. The bearings are still the Achilles heel here, because whether it's mag bearing with current technology on the market, those are the main failure point for mag bearing centrifugals. You have a bearing failure, the most common failure with a mag bearing, or you have an oil system failure, and that leads to damaging a bearing somewhere, and then that's a difficult road to come back from. Okay, so those are some things that, from a service perspective, you need to take very seriously, is protecting the bearings. Whatever you need to do, protect the bearings, and keep that oil system as pristine as possible. And then from there, don't let the chiller surge any more than it absolutely has to. We can't stop surge altogether. It's just not going to happen. But don't take surge lightly, and don't allow your customer to take it lightly. I've taken on customers who worked in plants, and they didn't know any better, but they weren't used to working with or around centrifugals, and heck, because the previous guy didn't know better and he didn't have better training and he couldn't figure it out. There's just all these issues, and your plant has a problem and the system can't balance it out, and blah, 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 blah. And ultimately, it's excuses as to why they lack the skills to address the surging condition. So instead of swallowing their pride and trying to get other people involved who do know better, they'll convince this uneducated customer that it'll be fine. Just, it'll surge here and there. Don't worry about it. Just no big deal. And that's not true. That's not true. We have to take surging seriously. So yeah, so coming back to that customer, they've allowed this machine for 6 months solid to surge a few dozen times a day. And it's like, oh yeah, every 15, 20, 30 minutes it does its surge for 1 to 2 minutes, and it goes back to normal. And it won't do it again for a little while, give it an hour or two, and then it may do it again. And just no, don't do it. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this module. This was a lot of fun to put together. It's a lot of work. This was a tough one to complete, but I look forward to the ones coming up. Hope you do too. Hope you're really enjoying the course so far. This is a lot of fun for me. I love this stuff. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun.